Turn me up. This is
coming to you from the heart of the Pacific, brought to you by Paulie by Design.
respected at all times.
Broadcasting from San Francisco, California, the city by the bay.
It's about to go down.
We shine on positive Pacific Islander role model every Sunday.
Party on a Sunday.
From 10 a.m. to noon, it's time for the iconic Faika podcast with your hosts,
Listening to
Nackie and Carl.
I thought there was a woo coming. You leaned into the microphone there.
I'm off. Yeah? I probably can't.
And no whoop whoop coming. But
No.
hey, Nackie,
Yes?
did you know
Yes.
that the San Francisco 49ers are 4-20 since 2017 without Garoppolo starting?
Wow.
4-20.
Ah.
They played today.
Ah.
I think they play the Jets.
Ah.
Better get that win.
Ah.
And it's where you
There you go.
it's talk trash time. It's football season. I don't give a damn about taking a knee. I love my football. I'm watching football. I'm not banning any kind of sports. So
Yeah.
it is football Sunday. Raiders, I don't even know. Y'all got a team. New England. You're playing the Patriots, and the mighty, mighty black and gold are playing the Houston Texans. Good morning, everybody. Season 4, episode 34 of the Faika podcast. I'm your host, Carl. With me, 49er fan, Nackie. Good morning, Nackie.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning to Florence Masoli, who is on. Good morning, sister Jeanette Neves. My mama is on.
Good morning, Auntie.
Mom. Fia is on. Good morning, Fia. Eddie. Good morning, Eddie. Aloha, Eddie. Eddie is checking in from the beautiful, beautiful state of Hawaii. Tayao Manuia, Maury is on. Yes,
Maury.
and she shared. Look at Maury.
TikTok famous, Maury.
Maury is TikTok famous. Maury's, speaking of TikTok, we did a TikTok last night, so we'll be talking about that in a little bit. But
Today.
yes, today, Sinang Asu Lolani.
Please
you go.
share it out. We're going to go over, I don't even know if we're going over important information, but share it out
Yes,
anyway.
yes, we are.
We actually are. We're going to go over census information. There is new census information out.
Right.
We are going to talk about Breonna Taylor. We're going to talk about the community programs. And we're going to talk about Willie Salavea. I'm really excited about the interview we had with him.
You had him on Tuesday.
Yeah, that's our show today, Nackie. What's up?
Yeah. Good morning. Happy Sunday to everyone. This week was, I'm on vacation. We went to Vegas for Mo's birthday last week. We got back Tuesday, and you did your interview with Willie Salavea, which was awesome. I'm glad that we got to talk to him. Lena Manuleleua. Good
morning, Lena.
Lena and I, we'll talk about seeing Lena earlier. Pete Masoli, good morning. Sina is checking in from Utah. Good morning, Utah. So if we can ask you to share, because we'll be talking about Breonna Taylor. We may or may not agree on what's going on with that. Am I right? I don't know.
Yeah, we'll agree to disagree. If
We'll
we disagree,
agree to
'cause
disagree.
That's what adults do.
That's right. And so what happened? So I went to Vegas. We talked about that. We went to Vegas for Mo's 60th birthday. Chilled, relaxed, came back, and so I needed it. It was really
A good getaway?
Yeah, it was a good getaway. I'm rejuvenated. I've been sleeping in and missing Fono Tatalo, which you have been reading verses with the other members. Bible scholars. There you go. So we have Fono Tatalo every day at 6 a.m. and I cannot get up. I'm still in vacation mode and I'm missing it, which I'm kind of sad. So I'll probably get back into it tomorrow. Tomorrow I am back on my diet like every Monday.
Back in the saddle again.
So hopefully I will stick to it, because we have a wedding to go to in a couple of months. And so that is my motivation. This week, Thursday, I went to Samoan language and Samoan language and culture, Samoan culture, whatever.
Language and culture
Language and culture with Pastor Fatleava. He did it online on Zoom, and
in that order, right? Language first, and then
so he does language from 6 to 7, and then from 7 to 8 he discusses culture, which is an amazing, amazing class. And this is like the third or fourth time I've taken the class.
If I wanted to join that, because I did miss. I had 14 hours of Microsoft Teams and
Right.
Zooms that day. I just
Right.
could not make it on to another one, especially because it was 2 hours. But this Thursday, I want to go. Where do I find it?
You'll find the link. I will either post it or the pastor will post it. We definitely will repost the link. I don't know if he still has that Malam Lama class or
He
if he's-
renamed it. It's
He renamed it,
Leo
and I don't
La
even know.
Concha or something like that. It's the voice of the conch.
Oh, voice of the
Conch shell.
conch shell. So look for that. We will post the Zoom link. So Lena was on there and all her siblings, Lena Manuleleua, like her sister Mata, and actually Mata was hiding behind Simoy, her baby, and all Lena's siblings. But we had people. A guy checked in from Australia, which was
Wow.
freaking amazing. There was like
Good day.
70 to 80 people in that class, which was amazing.
He
And-
always does such a good job of
Right.
You get the feel. You know what I
Right.
mean? You get the feel of the culture.
Yeah.
It's not just language. And
Right.
even if you didn't do the culture class in the second hour, you'd still feel it.
Yes.
But it's I'm looking forward to being there Thursday.
Yeah, so it's awesome. Tayal Manuia, Yvette, we'll be talking about Yvette in a little bit. Brother George is on, and Rebecca Curtis,
Good morning,
Cilito.
George.
Good morning. Thank you for tuning in. So we did the class on Thursday. I swear, there was like 70 to 80 people on there. People from Arizona, people from Samoa, people from down south. It was a really good class. And, we love Tama. So we encourage you to join the class. It's a great class. And then what else? That was Thursday. Tuesday, you had Willie Salavea on.
We'll talk about that.
We'll
what
talk
an
about
amazing individual.
Yeah, we are joining this FM radio station down south. It's AAX radio. So you'll be, if you live down south, you'll be able to hear us in a couple of weeks. They're going to be broadcasting our Koviki Talk series and Faika. So we'll be on the radio.
Southern California, here we
Southern
come.
California, here we come. We're also joining, we're teaming up with Brother Q, and
Island Block Radio.
Brother Green, where you'll find us on Island Block Radio also in a couple of weeks. So
On the Dash app, sharing
On
space
the
with
Dash
Snoop Dogg and Ice Cube.
Ice
and a
Cube,
whole bunch
right?
of
Oh my
other
gosh,
huge names.
Sean Stockton. So we're crazy happy to be joining the Dash family and Island Block Radio. So big shout out to Brother Green and Brother Q for letting us hang out.
Letting us hang out. Letting us share space with
Right.
them.
So go download the Dash app and the Faika app and everywhere you can find us. Ricky Pizza, good morning.
Good morning, Ricky.
Christina Vassallo, hey. Yes, so you'll be finding us in LA on the actual radio, 106.3, I believe it's AAX radio. You're going to find us on the Dash app, Island Block Radio, and then here on Facebook, we'll still be Faikaing. So we're crazy busy. We're doing a lot of work with PI task force,
Community members. Hey, but one thing before we move on, we're going on to a whole bunch of different platforms.
Right.
The Dash app, we're going to be on FM radio in
Right.
several different markets.
Right.
But it'll be edited down to an hour. If you
Right.
want the real, true...
You gotta come here.
You got to come here
Yeah.
to the live. You got to go
Yeah.
either to our FICA app or see us live, because they're going to edit out some things to make sure it fits time.
Yes.
And there's probably commercials or something that they're going
Right.
to put in there.
Yes, yes,
if you
yes.
want the whole deal, you're right here with us now.
Yes. Wahine Meru. Good morning.
Good morning, Wahine.
So so you're going to find us down south. Hopefully you'll find us on a radio station here soon. You'll find us on Dash app, Island Block, and here on Facebook. So to get the whole full thing, you'll need to watch us here. But of course, on radio, they have to edit and put commercials in. So I'm super excited. We're crazy busy. We're going to be starting another series soon. So stay tuned and thank you everyone for supporting and giving us lots of love. Anastasia Reed Molina, good morning. Thank you for tuning in. If we can ask you to share the podcast, because we'll be discussing a lot of important information.
Yeah, the madness and trash that we talk needs to be shared by everybody.
Yeah, the craziness that we do is needs to be shared. So, Bonnie, good morning, Bonnie, checking in from Utah.
We get a lot of Utah.
I know. We love Utah
followers.
and Alaska. People check in from Alaska and Hawaii and Samoa. Eddie checks in from Hawaii, so we love Eddie. But actually, we love everybody. So, what else? So, vacation. I also joined. Got into this meeting, ethnic studies meeting for San Francisco. We had a meeting with the superintendent, Tony Thurman, and Jefferson Education School Board. Manufo and Sarah Tanuvasa. Oh my gosh, Lassie Loyan, Drew Vai. I mean, tons and tons of amazing people. I don't know how I got into this thing, but there was tons of people. And what it was, if I get this right, it was because ethnic studies for Pacific Islander ethnic studies. And I don't want to cry because that's what I did during the meeting. I'm such a crybaby.
Hey, so that was one of the most. That was one of the most
Yes.
powerful speeches given was when you spoke.
Oh my God.
There were multiple people in
Yeah.
tears because what you said
Oh my God.
touched
It was
people's
crazy.
hearts. So don't be
Bale-
afraid of that. Don't be a scared.
Yeah, I'm not scared. Bale boy. Good morning, Helen. Helen Verma is
morning,
on. We
Helen.
love Helen. Hey, Helen. So, ethnic studies with the San Francisco School Board, Superintendent Thurman. Fatima, good morning. I joined this meeting and there was like crazy tons of Professor Ponepate. Is that how you say his name?
Ponepate.
He's a scholar. He was on there. Like every Professor Patero was on there. Like she's freaking amazing. All Pacific Islander scholars were on there to support Pacific Islander ethnic studies for San Francisco. And so what they were I guess were discussing with Superintendent Thurman was that ethnic studies, the program that they were going to run, they took out some of the books, some of the books that were by a Tongan author, some of the stuff by Professor Borja, articles that she had written that are very important to ethnic studies for Pacific Islanders. And so we went in there to fight to have those things put back in and to have the Pacific Islander ethnic studies class taught by a Pacific Islander. And so, Melissa Rene Tane was on there. She spoke, of course, Manufolia Inganuai. Verna Castro was amazing. Clarissa Molinga was on there. She spoke, and they're with the San Francisco School Board. And so it was just amazing to see all these Pacific Islander educators and community leaders on there, trying to save the program, really, just trying to save the program.
I think it's important that the curriculum and the literature that they read, if it's written by Pacific Islanders, it needs to be in there.
Yes.
But one of the things that really struck me out, because I came on late, I was at a different meeting and I came in late. I was literally asking you, like, what's going on? What exactly is the topic? Was that we know Professor Loyan.
Yes.
Right? We know Clarissa. We know Verna. We know a lot of these people individually until they were all on the screen. And I was looking at him. I was saying, "Wow, this is becoming a situation where." And we always talked about it. Like it shouldn't be unusual. Like there shouldn't be, the one professor or the one teacher. And then when you put them all up there, and I'm like, "Wow!" Like we knew all them individually, but to see them all in a group,
it was crazy.
And see how many of them there truly are. It was that was eye opening for me.
I was overwhelmed with everybody that was in there to support. I mean, it's kind of hard to get all of us in one room,
busy
right?
schedules.
Everybody's busy, crazy busy, but everyone was in there because of our kids. It was beautiful to see that we all came together because of our kids. I'm going to start crying. Oh my God. Line Makaafi, good morning. So, Professor Loyan spoke about how important it is to have these readings in the what is it, the program or the curriculum. There it goes. And they took out a 2 books and articles, and Professor Borja was on there. She spoke, and just SEDC was on there. Just it was overwhelming to see all these Pacific Islander like crazy amazing people on there. And so we got on to speak to support the Pacific Islander ethnic studies. And not unusual to walk in somewhere and see an African American professor. I think, or a Latina professor. But for me, it's so amazing to walk somewhere, because I didn't see it, but my kids get to see a Pacific Islander professor, or, Dr. Palaita was on that call. And so, hi, Leah. Leah's on there. We'll talk about her in a little bit. Superintendent Thurman had to leave. He said he can't stay on. He's got to leave in the middle of the meeting, but his staff will stay on to fill him in on stuff. He was so moved by the meeting. He stayed on the whole meeting and missed, like, he was late 30 minutes for a call with the governor, So it was amazing to see, and it was amazing to see how moved he was by everyone was so passionate. And I was talking about George Coy, good morning. So what I was talking about was so important for our kids to see Pacific Islanders teaching, and I spoke about my daughter who attended City College of San Francisco because
isn't there a college right over here?
There is a college literally across the freeway from me, 10 minutes away, literally 10 minutes away from me.
That'd be a lot easier.
It's a lot easier for her to get there, but she's telling me, Mom, I want to go there because there's Pacific Islander ethnic studies, learning her own history, right? So for 12 years, how can I fight her on that? I can't even fight her on, no, you can't go learn your own history. And I spoke about how for my kids, their whole, from kindergarten to when they graduate, the history that they're learning is not theirs. My kids are learning a history that does not belong to them. So, of course, I could not say no. And she started going to City College. And for her, it's normal for her to see a professor because Dr. Palaita is there, Professor Loyan, Professor Sarah Tanuvasa, Professor Vai is there. They have a big support system. So to walk around this school and to see it's normal for them. But to me, it's freaking amazing to see somebody that looks like me teaching my kids about their own history. So I think that's why I was such a crybaby, because
so when you were talking, I think you were really focused on your words,
right?
And you did a great job getting it across. Obviously, I'm not talking. I was looking at the attendees, and it's like this big Hollywood Squares. And for you young kids, you don't understand what Hollywood Squares looks like or what that reference is, but it's just a big mass of faces.
Right.
There were a ton of people that were emotional, and not emotional like, barely, kind of teary eyed, like tears coming down their faces, taking deep breaths.
Yeah.
And it really hit home. I think that, you had talked to me earlier, a long time ago about, I think there was a Pacific Islander man in your school that wasn't a teacher.
Yeah.
But that would feel normal, right? So that person's not at the school as a teacher or as an administrator or anything, but that would be like how you would expect to see a Pacific Islander growing up. Mm-hmm. And now, like, your daughter's going to school.
Right.
It's now what you saw.
Yeah.
Was normal. What she's seeing is normal.
Right.
And as people in position in teaching the classes and those kind of things. But you had told me that story a long time ago, and I was thinking, well, that would be the normal spot you would think you would see a Pacific Islander if you're not a student at a school. Yeah.
The guy, when I was in junior high, the I don't know what you call it, the janitor there was a Hawaiian guy, and he was always yelling at the PI kids to get your ass in school, get your ass to class, or you're late. Why are you late to class? He was a really good guy. So it's awesome. Okay, Elliot Mamea, good morning and happy birthday to you and Jen.
Oh, happy birthday.
Yes. Ane Tofili Matangi, good morning. And Alena Malai, good morning. So I was amazed. To my kids, it's normal for them to see a Pacific Islander professor or doctor or, you know what I mean? But when I was growing up, we didn't have that, or I didn't see it. I did not see it. So I'm super proud of the professors and doctors and scholars and everyone that was on that call. And so I love that. And it's like my kid, like just to not, well, no, this is a good example. Like President Obama President Barack Obama, when he became president, like to my kids, that's going to be a normal thing for them to see somebody running for president or a black president. For me and the generation,
Right.
older, to us, it's like off the hook crazy for us to be still alive to see a black president of the United States, right? So we were super proud, just, and I love that my kids get to them that's normal, you know what I
Right.
mean? But a lot of people that are older in my age and older, we were like bawling seeing him, be the president. So
My triplets were 10.
yeah.
Actually, they were 9 at that point
Yes.
in 08 when Obama was running. I
Right.
took them to the polls with me and
Right.
explained when we were at the polls,
Yeah.
like why it was important. So at 9 years old, they're seeing that President Obama
Yes.
is it like they're just like, well, it's a black president,
Yeah.
or it's a partially black,
Right.
whatever.
And,
But
right,
yeah.
right,
So it's
yeah,
not like
yeah.
it's like now effectively in their grown time they can understand.
Right.
They're seeing a white president and a black president.
Right.
Like that's huge because before that, you wouldn't even see like Jesse Jackson. I remember he ran for president back in
Right.
the late 70s, early 80s. It was huge just to see him, run. Nobody thought he was going to win.
Right.
But
yeah. Nobody
just to
till
see
I
him-
even I didn't believe he was
Right.
going to win. I was like,
No.
nah, we're not ready.
But at least he's got his foot on the stage,
Yeah.
or he's in a debate or
Yeah.
something. But yeah, you're right. If we can normalize what we're seeing, and
Right.
we don't expect to see Pacific Islanders
Right.
as we talk about that being pigeonholed into what they're going to be or what they can be perceived
Yes.
to be. Kids see professors now and they're like, wow, I could do that.
Yeah, I can do that. There's a professor that looks like me. I can do that. There's a doctor that looks like me. I can do that. So it's very important for us as Pacific Islanders to see people in these roles. And we talk about that all the time, how we're stereotyped as football players or athletes and
Security
actors. Security guards, which is amazing. It's
Right.
amazing that we see us in that role. But it's also amazing and important for our Pacific Islanders to see us in different roles as well. So it's amazing that we're athletes. It's amazing that we're actors. It's also amazing that we're entrepreneurs, that we're educators, that we're, we're everywhere. So we have to see each other in that light is my thing, right? Good morning, Daniel Tanyelu. Mark Fa'asua Malia Ta'ala. Woo-hoo. Felicia. Hi, cousin. Felicia's on. So what Mena had just pointed out to me, I have a 12-year-old. And so her whole life, that's what she's going to know is black president is not unusual. A woman running for president is not unusual. Someone, so I think it's awesome. So I think I'm just super emotional about that because I didn't get to see that when I was growing up and it wasn't the norm. And if it was there, I didn't see it. So that's why is a big reason why we try to highlight people that look like us in different roles. So there you go. So that was a great meeting. I think a lot of positive stuff. And I think those books are going to be back in the curriculum, which I love. Professor Borja was on there speaking passionately about her class. All the professors that were on spoke passionately and asked questions. Why was it taken out? Why this and that and that? And they had really good, answers. So big shout out to Superintendent Thurman, Manufo Lienga, Anua'i for getting everybody in one room. And we said this before, the only person that can get all these people in one room is Manufo.
Right.
So there you go.
Well, a lot of the speakers were like, why
Right.
am I here?
Right.
Honestly, I'm here because Manufo said you need to be here.
Right.
And if she said it, it must be important. I'm
Right.
here.
Right.
And
So
she's right. It was important.
It's very important.
It was nice to see how quickly people could rally together
Yes.
behind the same concept, and
Right.
the same thing that our children need, that's good for our people in our
Yes.
community. And then people just showed up and were like, not that they were uneducated to it because they all understood it,
Right.
but they were like, Manufo's like, well, this is important.
Right.
We need to speak. We need to have our voice. And bang, big players showed up.
Right. I was like, it was crazy. And then Manufo's like, oh, Superintendent Thurman, let me introduce you to some of the community members. And I was like, oh, awesome. We get to talk to, Professor Panabati, Professor Patero. And then she's like, Nackie? And I was like, what the? What the? Hey. So, it was really good. Brother Larry Duenas. Hey.
Chelu Car Club.
Chelu Car Club. So that was my week. That meeting was one of my favorites of this week. I mean, there was Nia, of course, Dr. Nia Oto is freaking amazing. So yeah, lots and lots of stuff. Yes, Maury says Manu Foliang on Hawaii is such an inspiration. She really is. So when Manu Fo says be there, you gonna be there.
Yeah, there's and not that there's not others, but
yes,
it's really two that I can think of. It's Patsy
Tito
and
Manu Fo.
If they say we need to be there, like the community just says, we're not even sure exactly what, but if they're saying it's important and it's a rally to be there.
And it was an important cause.
Very important.
Very important cause.
But it just speaks to the power of those two ladies.
Yes.
If they want us there, the community's there.
Yes. Good morning to Tippy. Tippy was on last week.
Good morning, Tippy.
Tippy Mamea, she was on the Queer Talk Fireside with Neo and Koa, and she had her kids on. They were talking about coming out and living with children, LGBTQ community. It was a good show. You have to go check it out. Go to the Utopia San Francisco page and check out Neo and Koa's podcast.
And that's not the only good show they've had. They've had a bunch of good shows. So go to the Utopia Facebook page.
Yes.
Check that one out. Scroll down and see the ones you missed from before.
Yappy. By Lua O'Malley. Good morning. So we're going to ask you to share because we just discussed ethnic studies, Pacific Islander ethnic studies. It's important to get this information and maybe, and again, we don't have it here where I live. So maybe we can start, not me. Maybe somebody can start something here. You know what I mean? Because my kids have to travel an hour away, and I was talking about how Mena, sometimes she Ubers to Bart, then from Bart she walks to how far, and it's because she wants to take that class.
I think the same thing is going to happen is where we didn't see the professors, we didn't see those people in those positions, and now it's becoming normal, in the city and down the peninsula. I think that then the schools that have these classes, that's going to be the next step. Where now they're not people, they're actually programs popping up,
that would be
run
awesome.
by us.
Awesome. So yeah, that was my week. How was your week?
Let's see. Went to a lot of the same meetings. I had a long week from in terms of my 9 to 5. The big break that I got and really opened my eyes. You and I have had some strong, good, passionate conversation about it. Was the Tuesday midweek show with Willie Salavea.
Yeah.
Really, like that story, and it's just this one piece of it where he says. And you got to go check out the interview because he says it way better than I do. But he's basically at a point in his life, he's doing a job that he doesn't care for, but you got to pay bills. And, you got bills to pay. So you're doing whatever it takes to meet the bills. And he sees people walking around with cheap plastic lays around them, and he just thinks that's cheesy. So he goes up to somebody and that's responsible for the distribution of these and the sale of these. And he says out of the blue, hey, my name's Willie and I import fresh made lays from Hawaii. And they look a lot better on your guests than these plastic things.
Right.
He's not an importer. He doesn't even know anybody in Hawaii that makes those things. But he takes that leap of faith that look, I'll just figure it out. And that launches him into, this huge arena of sales and connections and those kind of things. Go check it out.
He's
but
freaking badass.
Just to say that, and then get an order the next day and try to figure it out. Like, how am I going to get the lays over here? What's going to be my markup? How am I going to distribute it? All those things came after he made the decision to say, "Hey, I import lays." So I was blown away by it. It's not. I am always impressed by our guests. You personally do a great job of booking a wide variety of different people and personalities on our show. But Willie really opened my eyes as to how much bigger can I think? What can Poly by Design?
Yeah.
What can we really become? How big can we get? And how can we find bigger ways to help more people?
Right.
So thank you, Willie Salavea.
Yes.
I mean, that's one of the most impactful interviews that I've ever done in terms of walking away and going, I want to be more like in an entrepreneurial spirit and belief that I can do it. I want to be like Willie.
Yeah. Helen said, amazing story. It's by far one of the best interviews on Faika Podcast. Thank you. Yes, Eddie said it was a really good show. So yay. Thank you, everyone. I mean, his story is amazing. So if you haven't seen it, please go check it out. It's on our page. It's also on the our Faika app if you want to listen to it. If you want to go to YouTube. Child, we everywhere.
Usually our shows go 50 minutes,
Yeah.
50, 55, and we cut it. And that one I think went like an hour and 10, hour and
Yeah.
14, because the information and the flow was just going. I was like, I can't just tell him to wrap it up. And there's a whole other piece of his life that he didn't get to share.
He didn't get to.
He
so
didn't-
we
and we're
probably have to
gonna-
have him on again.
Absolutely. I'd have him come
on
back
again.
and talk about whatever he wants to talk about. But there's a whole piece of his life that we didn't get to share.
Right.
And it just came, the energy that comes out of the guy is so huge. He's now doing a licensed product for the NFL.
I know.
Major
And
League Baseball.
Major League Baseball.
The NBA.
So if you have the kukui nuts with the NFL logo on it, like Mo has the one with the 49ers
I'm
logo
sorry.
on it. You sorry. Yeah, that's right. You sorry. And Carl has one with the Steelers on it.
There you go.
That is Willie's.
It's his stuff.
That's his product. So if you have a kukui nut with your NFL team or your Major League Baseball team on it, that is Willie's shit. So
Or it's
look
a
at you.
knockoff that's
Yeah, right. So it's amazing to support such an amazing entrepreneur. He's a great guy who's been through, like, his journey is crazy amazing, right? So he dug himself out of the hole that he was in, if he was in if you want to call it a hole, and dug himself out, and he's doing great shit.
like he said,
right?
he talked about how, I failed in life. I failed many times. I
Yes.
failed over and over.
Yes.
And that's, wasn't going to stop me from doing.
Failure is one of
Right.
the biggest things for success. You
Right.
have to learn how to fail
How do you
over
deal
and
with failure?
over and over again. I know. I've been said no to 50 million times. I've been said no to 50 million times, and I keep going. I keep going. Hey, Rhoda. Rhoda's on.
Morning, Rhoda
Good
Samoa.
morning, Rhoda. I also seen Rhoda when I was on vacation. It was good to see her and her family. We got to, so my Timena that does our stuff. Mena, somebody said hi to you on here. They're like, hi, Carl. Hi, Mena. Hi, Nackie. Lena said that. So, Lemao, good morning, Lemao. We got to see Rhoda, but yes, Willie Salavea he's an amazing entrepreneur. Go
Can't wait
check
to have
out
him
his
back.
story. Go check out his story. So that was really good. What else?
Let's see. That was the highlight of mine.
Yeah.
I mean, it was. I woke up in the morning the morning after the interview, and I was just thinking, man, like, what more can we do? And then
Yes.
we've had some good conversations, and we actually talked about some of this earlier in the show about going on to FM radio. We're in talks to actually send shows, audio files out into the Pacific where there's not
Palau,
internet.
Marshall
Yeah.
Islands.
Where they
So,
don't have
yeah.
internet. There's no way for them to click on things, and then we're going to put our stuff on a thumb drive and send it
send
to
it.
radio stations out there that don't have internet,
Right.
and it's going to end up in
It's
a rotation.
crazy. How crazy is that, right? So Helen says, Willie was super. Talk about a raw spill, telling it like it is, sharing the fundamentals of being street smart, Pacific Islander style in America. Totally true. Totally true. Well put. Thank you very much, Helen.
Great point.
So that is a great point. So tomorrow, if you don't know, we have our every Monday. Mena, do you have a flyer? Every Monday, we have Koviki Talk.
Kofiki Talk. What a great
Koviki-
name.
That's a great name.
Thank you, Nia Aitoto.
Thank you, Nia. Koviki Talk is where we talk about, if you don't know what Koviki is, it's COVID. Koviki Talk is everything to do with Koviki
Gaining
research.
Everything PI.
Everything
from a PI
Pacific
perspective.
Islander. Everything, yes, exactly. So anything that has to do with Pacific Islanders geared around COVID-19, Koviki, we're going to talk about it. Whether you're, how it affects the census, how they're doing research, and everything everything Pacific Islander, we're going to talk about. So every
Tomorrow,
Monday.
Our guests are Dr. Andrew Patia Young and Dr. Reno Samoa. They're going
Yes.
to be in there. We're going to talk vaccines. We're going to talk
Yes.
about a cure.
Yeah,
So there's a lot of
exactly.
questions out there. Where are we? Are we in stage 1, stage 2, stage 3? We're going to answer that question.
Right.
What happens if we're successful? What is the next step to get? Are they going to make them only available for medical personnel?
Right,
Like
right.
how much is? I don't know if we're going to get into actual cost, but
Right.
insurance, all the questions you have about a vaccine, because the feeling is we're close, right?
Right,
Like
right.
I just have this feeling, and I hear people talk about it like, when is this thing going to be over?
Right.
And you hear Operation Warp Speed from the White House that we're
Right.
close and all those kind of things. So I think that the public is thinking, well, what happens when it does, when
Right.
they do finally make an announcement?
Right.
You turn on the TV in the morning and you hear they have the vaccine. What is it at that point?
Yeah.
Like, how does it get distributed? All these questions are going to be answered tomorrow with
Yes.
Dr. Ah Young and Dr. Samoa.
Dr. Ah Young is actually working in the, what is that?
He's actually working on the vaccine.
Yes, so that's
clinical
amazing.
trials, I think.
Clinical trials,
Yeah.
that's what it is. So that's amazing to have a Pacific Islander in that spot. So good morning, Sister Epi Almavai. Good morning, Sister.
Of Samoan Solutions.
Samoan Solutions. If you don't know, now
You're
you
about to
know.
find out.
Right. They have Whangongo Samoa, which is coming out virtually. They've been Whangongo Samoa is a play put on by Sia Fagel. And if you haven't seen it, you have to see it when it comes out. They're doing it virtual. We have seen it a couple of times. We actually went to to the play and went like 2 times in a row because it's that funny. It's that good. It's storytelling. It's storytelling of the Pacific Islands, and you have to we it out. Follow Samoan Solutions on all social media outlets. If you go to their Instagram page, I say this every week, we always push Shop Pacifica. And so they have a little highlight where it lists a bunch of Pacifica entrepreneurs. If you are not, if you want to listen to us, our podcast, if we're not for you, go to Samoan Solutions Instagram page. They have a Listen Pacifica highlight where they have tons and tons of Pacifica podcasts. So.
What a great resource to go to if you don't like.
Yes.
Right now, Nackie and I are going to go through a bunch of names, and we're going to forget a whole bunch. But
Yeah.
they have like Village Made Podcast, KavaCast.
Tough Block, yeah.
They have all these, but we don't remember them all. And
Yes.
if we want to remember them all, we can go to Samoan Solutions
Yes.
and figure out what else is out there. And there's new ones like every week.
Every
a new one
week.
comes up.
It's so amazing. I love that there's more and more Pacific Islander podcasts that you can go to. Superfly, oh my gosh, Aisle 7, Justin Sua, who has he's a motivational speaker.
Justin Sua is one of the most polished
He is badass.
speakers, and I'm not qualifying this as one of the most polished PI speakers.
Yeah.
I'm talking about motivational speakers. So
Right.
you think about like Les Brown
Yes.
or Eric Thomas.
Yeah, Eric Thomas.
Or,
He is in that realm.
Who's the big
Like,
guy?
oh my gosh.
Tony Robbins.
Yes.
Like Justin Sua is in those.
He's in that mix.
He's in that
Totally,
mix. He's
totally.
so well spoken. His concepts
Yeah.
relate to you immediately.
Right.
There's long stretches where I listen
Yeah.
to his podcast like every day.
Yes.
And then
And-
I'll forget, I won't be on there for a while, and then I'll be like, you know what, I need me some more Justin Sua.
Yeah.
And I go back.
But the good thing about it is that if you miss a couple of days, you can go back and listen to those
Yeah.
days because his podcast it's a motivational speech in the morning, not speech, but motivation.
And it's not an hour long.
It's like 3 to 5 minutes.
Right.
Each one is 3 to 5 minutes, so you have time to listen. So I love Justin Sua. Good morning, sister. Adele is on. Jean Sua is on. Good morning. Thank you for tuning in. If we can ask you to share the podcast, we have a lot of great information. Koviki Talk, the census. If you haven't registered to vote, you
can say it.
what the fuck? You have to register to vote. We have to be counted. The census goes hand in hand. I mean, tons and tons of shit. Are we
Get in the
gonna-
game. Get in the game.
Get in the game. What else? Are we going to a song, Mena? What time is it? Okay, we're going to take a break. Do we have to go to an ad? No. Census. Let's do. You want to do census?
Let's do
census
because we've already talked about it a little bit, but let's
Yes.
give them the hard, cold facts.
Yes.
Census 2020 has been extended to October 31st. Poly by Design has talked about it so much that the federal government said, you know what? Because of Poly by Design, we're going to extend the national deadline to October 30th.
Yeah, just because of us, folks.
Yeah.
Just because of us.
Or maybe not.
Yeah,
But
maybe not.
We like to believe that. Anyway, Pacific Islanders are always undercounted in these things.
Always.
And you think about in California, it's about $4,500 per person that gets counted in federal funding and federal programs. So If you want your 10-year-old kid to have programs as they go through high school and get into college, that 10-year-old kid is going to be 20 by the time that we get to correct any mistakes that we make in the 2020 census. It'll be 2030 the next time we try to fix it. So let's get this one right this year. It ends October 31st. If you haven't done it already, get in there. It's easy. It's 9 easy questions. Get it done. So support from One East Palo Alto, a nonprofit organization to maintain a good quality of life for residents of East Palo Alto. We receive support from them. Why is the census important to me? And the answer from Professor Ann Patero that we talked about earlier is I'm tired of being called other. And for those of you that are Nackie's age and my age, and it was other. Like you apply for college or something like that.
Every application.
It was other.
Yeah. No matter what.
And then we finally got grouped in with the Asian PIs, API. Now we're Pacific Islander.
Now we're trying to ease off, and now
the reason that's happened, the reason that we get broken out, disaggregated is the fancy word, and that just means we get counted as ourselves, is because people are doing work, people are championing it, community-based organizations and schools are doing it, but it's the census.
Yes.
Get in there and let them know how many of us there are.
Yes.
Good things will happen. So
Yep.
That's Census 2020. Again, the deadline has been extended to Halloween.
Yes. So, hi, Rose for Popo. Good morning. Thank you for tuning in. Our next song, we're going to go to a break. And so the song is Cold World by T. Misa. He's in the service. So
thank you for your service,
Thank you for your service. We'll be right back. You're listening to the Faika podcast. This is Cold World.
Said, will they ride the same if I wasn't on this rap wave? I mean, I'm down, but I ain't that brave. Round of applause for the kid, don't leave a clap, say. Making moves for them times when I didn't have say. They love my shine and I ain't pleased with it. Respect my ground and everyone that ain't believe in it. Just looking back on everything that I've achieved with it. My vision vivid for the time because I see different. Yeah, they see I see different. I want better, but I need different. Changing my mind on the daily, gon' reflect on me. While it broke, but I always kept a check on me. I can't look down my young ones, they depend on me. Can't fold, I can't even make a big crease. Can't stop until I'm popping like fish grease. Coming up as a child, I had big dreams of playing ball or selling out stages on the big screen. Cause it's a cold world, but I'm gon' shine through. They told me keep my head up, well I've been trying to. They say that I'm gon' do it big, well I've been dying to. I wish I got that same love from the ones that lied to. Cause it's a cold world, but I'm gon' shine through. They told me keep my head up, well I've been trying to. They say that I'm gon' do it big, well I've been dying to. I wish I got that same love from the ones that lied to. I've been the chosen one, but please don't call me Penny Hardaway. Mama said I'm stubborn, always seem to learn the hard way. I'm just trying to find the words to say all the things that's so hard to say. I'm shining like the sun and grinding through all of the harder days. The opposite mentality, I need me a ring. When I get it, best believe it, I gon' strive for the team. Race missing on my work, and they gon' treat me like a king and never be a follower, but always follow my dreams. Yeah, cause they say on the man shoot, I gotta be. Only got a couple that gon' ride with me. Cause if you lie to your mama, you gon' lie to me. That's why winning my love is like the lottery. And my love, it just go deeper. Get on my level, all you suckers in the bleachers. I'm giving as you taking lessons, I can teach you. A long clock set, but I told them you're still a dreamer. It's a cold world, but I'm gon' shine through. They told me keep my head up, well I've been trying to. They say that I'm gon' do it big, well I've been dying to. I wish I got that same love from the ones that lied to. Cause it's a cold world, but I'm gon' shine through. They told me keep my head up, well I've been trying to. They say that I'm gon' do it big, well I've been dying to. I wish I got that same love from the ones that lied to. It's a cold world.
And we're back. You're listening to the Faika podcast. I am Nackie. With me, as always, is Carl.
Good morning.
SCDC. Let's talk about SCDC. We were talking about them earlier this morning.
Sister Patsy and her team up there are doing, we say it every week. They've
Amazing.
done a great job getting into social media amid this pandemic.
Yes.
Some of their virtual programs, they have a wellness check-in every Wednesday for parents. So if you're stuck at home with your kid and they make you want to end up being called CPS, you can chat with somebody about parts of the life and the new norm, talk about the craziness of the pandemic and decompress, debrief, and join their Zoom. It's on their Facebook page.
Yes, SCDC Virtual Academic Support. Thanks, Helen. Helen liked that song. Wellness and academic support for students during distance learning, elementary school from 1 p.m. to 3:30 p.m., and middle school and high school kids 3 p.m. to 5:30 p.m. Every Monday through Friday, you just have to register to get the Zoom link at the SCDC page.
Well, one more thing they're doing. I had a phone interview, and it was taxing. It was exhausting. I got what I needed out of the interview, but I got out and I was just stressed and irritated. And I have Facebook open on my computer, and this little window pops up amid me going, being so irritated, and it said SCDC is live. And I remember thinking, I'm going to go close that little X thing. And then that window that pops up where you can see like the preview of it is these two ladies sitting in a chair, and just out of like, what is that? So I opened it up, and it was the cultural exercise program. So I don't know, it was maybe 15 minutes. It was pretty short, but on Tuesdays, keep it moving in a chair is at 10:30 a.m. And the meeting ID, and again, you can go to the Facebook page and get this, but it's 474-948-1606, and the password is Kim, K-I-M. They do exercises in a chair, and when I went through it, by the time I got done with it, I was actually de-stressed in such a short amount of time. I was ready to go finish the rest of my day. It was 10:30 in the morning, but it was a nice, quick, brief thing. If you're stuck on Zooms, you're stuck in your office chair all day long, check it out. A few minutes with SCDC and you'll de-stress yourself.
Yes. So they have an awesome program. Yesterday, we spoke to Vet Manmea, and she said Friday they were super exhausted because they had boxes and boxes of food, and they distributed 500 boxes to
500 families.
500 families.
500 families.
500 families got boxes of food. They literally went to Sunnydale and knocked on 500 doors and gave away food. And it was vegetables and fruits and meat.
Like really good cuts of meat.
Yeah, really good cuts of meat. So SCDC is doing a freaking badass job.
It's literally going door to door in Sunnydale,
not knowing what to expect.
Right. Like,
do you want food? Do you need food, or do you want food? And everyone said yes, of course. And so they had trucks of food, and they were the whole staff was walking up and down, knocked on 500 doors, fed 500 families. It's freaking amazing. And to hear and watch Yvette talk about it,
she said she was so exhausted, but it was a good exhaustion.
It was a good exhaustion.
She saw people that she hadn't seen because of the pandemic. Everybody's locked up in their house.
Right.
So she saw people that she wouldn't have seen unless she went to their door and knocked on the door.
Right.
People were happy to see a new face.
Right.
They don't have bingo, right? So a lot of the people they would normally see at the bingo hall,
right.
They don't get to see. So to do that and to deliver food,
right?
I mean that's basic.
Badass,
you know what I mean? It's so it just meets that. You're touching each other at that level, and she goes, and part of it was just sitting there and talking to people I hadn't talked to
in a minute,
to people outside of their certain circle in a long time. So great job to Patsy and her team, finding ways to still be in touch with the community.
And Yvette's face when she was talking about it, she was still emotional over it. How they were touching families, and to be the person to help, and they do an amazing job there at Samoan Community Development Center. Go to their Facebook page, follow them on all social media outlets. They're doing a great job being present online. So there you go. This week, I know it's all over the internet. Breonna Taylor, her face has been plastered everywhere, as it should be. It's been since she was murdered in March of this year. This week, they charged a police officer not for the murder of Breonna Taylor, but for shooting recklessly into a different apartment or some shit like
They
that.
had a grand jury to figure out if any charges should be filed. The grand jury announced their findings, middle of the week, I think, somewhere
Right.
Tuesday, Wednesday-ish. And there were no charges filed in the death of Breonna Taylor. There was charges of wanton reckless endangerment by a different cop.
Yeah. So
What's your thoughts?
my thought is that I think it's some bullshit, right? Like somebody should be charged with her murder. Now, here's my take on it. There was a warrant for her boyfriend or her ex-boyfriend who was at her house, right? Her ex-boyfriend who was at her house. At midnight, there's
The warrant was for because they believed, this is what the warrant was,
Yeah.
that her ex-boyfriend was hiding drugs at her house.
right. So, which they found none, by the way. So at midnight, they knock on her door, allegedly knocked at her door. I have to say that. And Walker, who was her ex-boyfriend, said that it was midnight, and he said they heard some noise. They weren't sure. He thought they were in danger, and he took his gun that is registered to him and went to the door, and they allegedly asked who was there. No response. And then the police officers broke down the door with the ram thing, down the door. They were scared for their life. He shot a police officer in the leg, and then all hell broke loose. There was 3 main officers that shot into their house, killing Breonna Taylor. And from what I understand, nobody has been arrested for her murder. And I say murder because she was killed, in her home at midnight, and allegedly they knocked or whatever.
That's a
and
dispute.
That's
So
a dispute
some
because
witnesses are
some
saying
witnesses are saying
that they heard it,
and
and
then
some witnesses are saying
they
absolutely didn't hear anything.
It. So, and then, there was no camera. There was no
Body cams.
body cam when this incident took place. And so Walker was arrested for attempted murder and then later let go or charges dropped. I'm not really sure. But supposedly he was protecting he thought they were in danger, and that's why he shot when they came through the door. So I don't know. What do you think?
There's a whole bunch of things that are under scrutiny at this point. Why was the warrant a no-knock warrant?
And explain no-knock warrant.
So a no-knock warrant means that they can serve the warrant without knocking on your door. They can just break in because they are either concerned about officer safety or they're concerned about destruction of evidence. So there is there's a reason to make it a no-knock warrant versus a knock and announce warrant.
Right.
So there's a whole bunch of things here that don't make sense. If you're going to ask for a no-knock warrant, right, you're going to present evidence to a judge, and you're going to say that there is sufficient danger for officers' lives or danger that evidence is going to be destroyed if we don't get in the door quickly, and you present that evidence to the judge. It doesn't make sense to me that you then knock and announce when you're at the door.
Right.
Like you believed that when you applied for the warrant,
and then you knock.
but then in midnight, when it's actually the danger would be there, you actually knock and announce. That doesn't make sense. It seems inconsistent.
Right.
But you have conflicting views. You have witnesses that say, "I heard them knocking and saying that that they're the cops." Then you have other witnesses saying, "I didn't hear. All I heard was the crash of the door coming down." So that's a it doesn't make sense thing to me. And then you have conflicting witness statements saying that. You also have so have you heard of a castle doctrine? Castle doctrine or stand your ground, and there's some states that have this, is you can use deadly force to protect your house.
Right.
So if somebody is breaking into your house, you can shoot and kill them because there's a castle doctrine in the state. It's a lot like the stand your ground. You hear those things. Well, it's a stand your ground state. You're not required by law to retreat in the face of danger. You can reply deadly force with deadly force. Kentucky is a castle doctrine state. It's a stand your ground state. So if Walker believed that the house that he was in, whether he owns it or not, I think Walker was actually Breonna Taylor's current boyfriend. Her ex-boyfriend was what the warrant was about. I don't think I think Walker was her current boyfriend. Not positive on that, but I don't think Walker was the actual suspect that they thought was hiding drugs. But it's not really pertinent to the case.
Yeah.
But if he was in the house and they're breaking the door down and they didn't announce themselves, then the castle doctrine or the stand your ground would say that he's okay to shoot if he's in fear of his life.
Right.
But then it gets really muddy that the police have a legitimate warrant and they're getting shot at. So they have the you know, they can defend themselves and shoot back. So the laws it's like where the warrant and self-defense for police meets the castle doctrine, because if he's justified in saying, I don't know who they are, they're breaking my door down, I'm shooting.
Yeah.
Of course, the police are going to say, well, we got shot at, so I'm not going to not fire back.
Right.
They did have a cop that was recklessly shooting, and the witnesses say that this guy fired 11 times, and he was running around shooting into windows with the curtains drawn.
Right.
So he didn't even know where he was shooting. That guy is the one that was charged with
right.
reckless, wanton disregard for human life. But the shooting of Breonna Taylor, if the cops are shooting in self-defense, I can see them returning fire. One of theirs already got wounded. But there's just this weird area where the castle doctrine, you see so many of those things where the people are like, no, if somebody's breaking down my door, I have the right to defend myself.
Exactly.
So then it comes down to, did they announce or did they not announce? So I don't feel a huge outrage that they weren't charged in the murder of Breonna Taylor. There were 30 shots fired and Breonna Taylor the suspect wasn't hit once. The guy Walker who shot, he shoots, and then 32 shots are fired back by the police, and none of them hit Walker, the guy with the actual gun.
Yeah.
So
I don't know about that.
It's a tragedy. And I believe that. I think that it's a blurry situation once they're knocking the door down. He's in a castle doctrine, stand your ground state. He fires. They're fired on. One of the cops get hit. They're going to return fire. And they're trying to shoot the guy, but that's pretty ineffective shooting. 32 shots and none of them hit the guy with the actual gun.
Yeah, but I don't know how many times she was shot, but it's a total tragedy. And now that I kind of understand both sides. I understand the police officers were scared for their life. I also understand that they're protecting Breonna Taylor and Walker were scared for their life. So it's a bad situation all the way around. I think the way that police department handled that case was fucked up. Now because of Breonna Taylor, I think now they're required to have a body cam.
They have body
all
cams.
the time.
They didn't have them
they
on.
didn't have them on.
That's the other thing.
What?
Is I think body cams shouldn't be able to be turned off by the officer.
Right.
Like the officer shouldn't have the ability
to turn it
now,
off.
If you're going to go to lunch, you're going to go to the bathroom, then you radio to a supervisor and they turn it off and then you turn it back on. But they shouldn't have the ability to turn it off
I agree.
whenever they want. The other thing is, and this really would feed the outrage to the Breonna Taylor thing, the city settled for $12 million with Breonna Taylor's family. So they're admitting that there's some wrong. Like you don't write a $12 million check unless you're saying
is wrong.
like we did something that wasn't right. So I don't know. I feel horrible all the way around. Murder means that they specifically intended to kill Breonna Taylor. And I don't believe that. I'm not saying they didn't. I'm just saying I don't think that there's evidence to show that they specifically intended to kill Breonna.
Yeah. I think somebody should take responsibility for her death, right?
Yes.
And we hardly heard anything about her. And then, like in May, George Floyd was killed, and then after that, so many people after, and it got to a point to where, when is enough? Like, we're killing, Black lives, people of color, and now this is to me, this is because we don't know all the facts, right? But in general population, this is telling them that really people of color don't care if a police officer can go into a home and they're trying to protect their home. We don't know the situation, but that nothing is being done, and another police officer is being charged for shooting in the wrong area, right?
He fired 11 shots into nowhere.
And I get that could happen. Like, if you're a police officer and you're scared, you're really shooting to protect yourself. I get you're scared and you're just shooting like crazy, but motherfucker, then you shouldn't be a police officer. Right. You should not be a police officer. Right. Get stepped the fuck down, right? I just don't understand why it took them 5 months to respond to the mother and the family, and then they pay them $12 million. If this happened to my child, I would be fighting every day too.
Sure.
So you gave me $12 million. That's not going to give me my baby back. I still want somebody to be responsible for the death of my child, right? So I totally, speaking from a mother's point of view, I'm angry that nobody was arrested for her, and even still, somebody's going to get arrested. They're going to go to jail, and they probably will die anyway, because the prison population will probably, I don't know.
You don't want to be an ex-cop.
Yeah, you don't want to be an ex-cop in prison. So I get that. I'm angry that.
The other thing that doesn't make sense to me, and again, it's this whole war on drugs thing.
Right.
I'm opposed to the war on drugs. I think it's made things worse.
Right.
They have a no-knock warrant not for guns, not for threat. They have drugs. For drugs.
Right.
So it's a possession issue that they get a no-knock warrant. They're going to go
at
serve
midnight,
it in the middle of the night
Yeah.
for possession.
Yeah.
Like, those are things that the criminal justice system, and those are the discussions, like what's creating the situation where a door's getting knocked down in the middle of the night.
At midnight.
And there's somebody inside that has a gun and is like, I fear for my life. Like, what's creating those situations? Do you need a no-knock warrant in the middle of the night for possession?
Right.
Like, there's better ways to do that.
Yeah, that whole situation is all jacked up. Puka, good morning, Puka. Pulu Tammy Tofinga Aina, good morning. Thank you for tuning in. Kim Fraser, hello.
Good morning,
Kim.
Timberwolves.
Tony Tutongi, good morning. Thank you for tuning in. So that is my take on Breonna Taylor. It wasn't that bad. I thought we were going to go at it, but no, you were breaking down the facts, which you said you were going to do, and I'm moving on emotions.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that the bigger sense of frustration is just another time that a person of color was shot and killed by police. And the facts of it is, there isn't sufficient evidence to charge them with murder because the elements of murder,
right?
But it's like the situation happened again,
right?
And that means that if this same situation happens tonight, then the same result is gonna happen. Yeah. The bigger discussion for me needs to be like, why are these situations repeatedly created?
Yeah,
the criminal justice system creates those confrontations. It continues
to happen. So it's all fucked up all the way around. So I just pray. Let's just pray for our country. Pray for all the police departments around the world that they make the right decision when stopping people of color. And I'm so passionate about this because my kids, never mind me, right? But my kids are people of color. If my daughter or my son gets pulled over, like my son knows, and we talk about this all the time, you have to talk, because we're people of color, we have to talk to our kids differently than someone who is not a person of color. We have to tell you, put your hands on your steering wheel. Don't make sudden moves. Answer the questions that are being told to you so that you can go to court. Save yourself so that you can go to court and fight later. It's fucked up. We have to have this conversation with our kids. Like, why can't we be like, I don't know, the white kids? We talked about, we were driving by this older white man who got pulled over by police, and he's reaching over his car and under his seat, and we were like, whoa, you know what I mean? Because to us, that's crazy that he's moving all inside of his car and he can do that. Where we're like, if that was a person of color, they would have got shot already, you know. So I think it's fucked up that my kids have to live by a separate rule than, you know, the rest, the people that are not of color.
Yeah.
That's my thing. I think it's fucked up, and there you go.
I had that situation in the early 90s. I had a 67 Olds Cutlass convertible. I got followed out of a neighborhood by a police officer
remember you telling
onto the
me that.
freeway. He pulls me over, tops down, so you can see everything in the car.
Right.
He comes up and asks me where I'm going, where I'm coming from, whose car is this, how long have I had it, where do I live, like all these crazy questions. And I'm like, here's my registration, you know,
My insurance.
And I don't really want to engage with the guy. But again, my goal is to leave that roadside. That's what my goal is.
Yeah.
So I'm somewhat accommodating to him because I don't
Yeah.
want to piss him off, but at the same time I'm like, I don't have to deal with all these things So
Right.
I give it to him. He goes back, runs me for warrants and checks the insurance and registration. Comes back, everything checks out, and then he said, do you have any weapons or drugs? I said no. And he goes, well, you don't mind me looking, you know, searching your car? And I turn around, I look, I'm like, look, like you can see my whole car.
Right.
What do you, he goes, well, I can't see in the trunk. I said, he goes, so let me look in your trunk and then you're good to go. And I said, no, I don't want you looking in my trunk. And he said, well, if you don't have anything, then what's the big deal?
Right.
And I said, I don't have to. That's you're asking me.
And I'm
because
saying no.
If you didn't need to ask, you'd be doing it.
Right.
And he said, well, then I can just call a canine unit and have a dog sniff your car.
Go ahead.
And I said, if you can detain me until the canine unit gets here, you need probable cause to detain me. And if you had probable cause, you'd already be searching.
Right.
And he looks at me and he goes, wait here. And then he goes back to his car and he gets in his car. It's like 110 degrees out and I'm in, you know, a convertible.
Right.
And I'm thinking I should just drive off, but I'm not going to drive off.
He's going to shoot you.
Because again, my goal is to leave the roadside alive.
Right.
So I sat for like, I don't know how long, a long time, sitting there. And then he finally gets on his PA system. He's like, well, and again, I'm like, I'm not starting my car. I'm
Right.
not doing anything. I'm waiting. And then finally he never came back to talk to me. He just drove off. He started his car and drove off. But when you get into that, like legally, he didn't have any probable cause to stop me. I should have been able to drive off.
A lot of people don't know the law.
But my goal is to leave that interaction without a bullet
Alive,
hole, right?
yeah.
Like I was like, I know I'm in the right, but I'm not pushing. I'm not
Right.
pushing any envelope.
Yeah, yeah, right. That's our goal. We tell our kids, no, you just want to leave the roadside alive, or even, and you know, we see a lot of videos where we see where it starts from when it's escalated, right? But like, so it gets escalated and people start recording. Like I seen this video where this lady had got pulled over and the guy said your car was stolen. She had her license and registration and everything. And then she started going off, you know, she went off, rightfully so, because he pulled her over telling her that her car was stolen. And she started, you know, she got angry, which I understand that. Like, you're pulling me over for no freaking reason. Good morning, Patsy, Destiny, and family. Good morning. Ooh, so that's why it's very important for us to learn the law and not be ignorant of the law. Too much of us or anyone just give into their demands because we're ignorant to know our rights. Stay awake, people, and stay vigilant. Yes, we should know the law. But if we don't know the law, let's just get out of there alive, right?
Well, and I did. I said, like, you can't hold me here for the canine cops to come without probable cause.
Right.
And if you had probable cause, you'd be searching right now.
Right.
So you wouldn't be asking me. But even though I knew my rights, I'm not going to run. I'm not going to start my car and drive off. Like, if I got to sit there, again, my goal is to leave the side of the road.
Right.
Without any bullet holes.
Without any bullet holes. So yeah, that's my whole thing is it's different set of rules for depending on the color of your skin, right? And
so, and to be fair, like I've had, I don't know, 200 or 300 interactions with police officers in my life. I've had 4 or 5 bad ones.
Yeah.
So
Totally.
the vast majority of the
Right.
interactions I have with police, I got pulled over by a cop in highway patrol in Fresno, and he pulls me over like old, I would call, redneck kind of. He's like, "How you doing?" And I go, "I'm doing good." And he goes, "You give me his license," and he comes back and he goes, "Is you Samoan?" And I'm like, I'm just gonna go with this and say yes. He goes, "I was in Vietnam with a Samoan, sergeant saved my life." He goes, "I guess that kind of makes us friends or something." He goes, "Slow this thing down." Didn't give me a ticket, didn't,
That was nice.
and just sent me on my way.
Yeah.
There's plenty of times that I've had great interactions with
Yes.
cops who've helped me and have been help. I'm not saying people are like, cops have never done anything for me. I've never called a cop from my house for help or something like that.
Yeah.
But I've had interactions where they've been great people.
Yeah.
The vast majority of them. It's just the ones, and that's all it really takes, though, because if you get
just
a
takes
bad one,
yeah.
you can end up with a record if they lie. Like, it's just,
Right.
it freaks me out from that standpoint of, like, I could just end up, some cop could just lie and say, "Oh, I found these drugs in his car."
Right.
And who are they going to believe?
Him.
Like,
Right.
So I don't, but I don't want people to think like I hate cops.
No,
Like,
no,
I've
no,
got
no.
plenty of friends that are cops.
Oh
I
my
have
God.
way more positive interaction with cops than bad ones.
Yeah, and I have family members that I consider, I know police officers who I consider family, and really, it's just a handful. I have never had a bad interaction with a police officer. Thank you, Jesus. And it really is one bad apple out of
Right.
how many hundreds and
The
thousands.
problem is you
Yeah.
don't know which one you're dealing with.
Yes,
Am I dealing
yes.
with a good one, the
Yes.
9 out of 10, the 99 out of 100, or I don't know. They don't have signs on them that say bad
and
cop.
it's just like any other person you meet. You know what I
Right.
mean? It's just they're peace officers. They're supposed to be peaceful, and so.
On that note, I believe yesterday was Toa Malama Scanlon's birthday.
Oh,
I saw something on the
Pauline.
support for
I think Pauline.
Yeah, posted that, and
Yeah.
there's a hero right there.
Yes.
Like there's one of those
Exactly.
that got he got shot protecting his partner.
Right.
I mean, that's such a he's a great man.
Yes.
Is a great man.
He
Not
is
was
a
a
great
great man.
man.
Is a great
Yeah.
man. And those
Malama
are-
Scanlon. Yes.
Malama Scanlon. So happy birthday. There is a true hero there.
right? Yeah.
Literally got in between his partner and bullets.
And bullets.
Paid a horrible price for it.
Yeah.
But that's a there's a good example, and
Yes.
there's way more of those
Way
than there
more
are
heroes,
of
right.
the bad cops that do all the stuff that bad cops do. So
Yeah.
we are not an anti-cop show.
No,
we're
no.
an anti-bad cop show.
Yeah. Yes. Dr. Young is on. He'll be on tomorrow. Koviki Talk at 5 p.m. Pati, good morning.
Good morning.
Edge Bonnier, good morning. Kathy Carrero. Frank Tavo. Look at me.
Look
I'm
at
hitting
that.
all the vowels.
Getting ready for Thursday's class.
Getting ready for Thursday's class. What time is it? Yesterday we went to, so we had Snacky with Nackie, right? And we did round 6 for 2 weeks because I was out of town and I wanted to do Snacky with Nackie in the Bay Area. Just because I was on vacation relaxing, right? Carol Tuatasi, good morning.
Good morning, Carol.
Good morning, Carol. So Snacky with Nackie is what we started. It's because we're on Zoom meetings 50 million times a week, right? Sometimes 3 or 4 Zoom meetings during the day. And I am always snacking. I'm always, if we're on Zoom, you have seen me eating during the Zoom meeting. And so Leah, who we're in meetings with, Leah Poasa, PBD crew, she'll see me eating and then she'll text me and she's like, "What are you snacking on now?" Or Yvette will be like, "What are you eating?" So we decided to do I seen this Venmo challenge where this lady was collecting 50 cents to $1, anything you want to donate. And we go a whole week. We started on Sunday, and then on Saturday, Carl and I, or whoever is going with us, we will go eat somewhere. And then whatever we collect for the week, that is what we're going to tip the server or whoever the essential worker is. So this week we collected $1,002. Thank you everyone who donated. And we had a little get together at Leah Poasa, who is part of the PBD. We had a PBD dinner get together. So it was Neo, Leah, and her fiance, Dr. Tai Fatlava. Trisha, who is the new SWE coordinator at SCDC. I know, look at the people we're with, right?
I know.
Yvette Manumea, who's with SCDC and the PBD team, Carl and I, and we ordered food. And our DoorDash, and our driver came to get food or deliver the food, and we tipped our driver $1,002, and she fell out. And we have the video. We got home late, and so Mena is going to throw it all together right after Faika. So we'll post it. But it was a really, really nice young lady, and it was amazing. Every time we do this, I'm like in awe of the people that God draws us to or draws them to us. So.
We were joking about that last night. So when you sign up for DoorDash, I guess you have to pick that tip, and you didn't put a tip in there. And we were laughing, going, she's probably on the way there on her IG going, these cheap ass fools didn't tip me anything. And then on the way back, she was probably back on her IG going, all right, you remember those people that I said didn't tip me anything? They gave me $1,000.
Yeah. So it was
great.
Really
Alexandria, amazing young lady. She's glad she made the drive out from Oakland to Richmond.
Yeah.
I think that's probably why she's a little more comfortable with that, because we're not in the higher hills end of Richmond.
Yeah. So she was comfortable, and it was a good. We had a good time. We went to Leah had dinner, and we were in her backyard, which is beautiful. And if you don't know, Leah has been going on social media and showing everything, the update and
I got in the queue.
Update.
I'm next.
Yeah.
Next.
Upgrade
You're next, and I'm after you.
That she upgraded her backyard, and she remodeled Manu Malo and his wife's backyard. She did Neo's backyard, so I asked her to do mine, but hers is beautiful. We had a fire pit out there, made some s'mores, we had dinner,
music.
It was awesome. We had a really good time. We did a TikTok. Go to my page. We did a TikTok. And so we had a really good time. And then, we ordered DoorDash. We had lots and lots of food. And then we ordered salad and garlic bread.
If you want to get her to help you with your yard, you're in line after me. Nackie's next, and I'm after Nackie.
Right. So we had a good time. It was chill, relaxed. We hadn't seen each other because of the pandemic. So everybody was masked up, hands washed. And so it was a really good time. So thank you.
We even sat far apart.
Yeah, we sat 6 feet apart. Everybody sat 6 feet apart. So it was awesome. We had
I didn't even realize that, because Leah's so well thought out.
Yeah.
There's little tables in between the seats.
Yep.
So it wasn't like you were sitting 6 feet away with nothing between. It was she did a
You
good
didn't
job
know,
of putting us in the places
You didn't
we're
realize
supposed to be.
you were sitting 6 feet apart. But Folau, good morning. So, we had a good time last night. So thank you to Leah and Ty for hosting. It was an amazing night.
I'm going to read from the support for Toa Malama Scanlon. Was posted yesterday by Jasmine Scanlon. Happy birthday to our hero. We are so blessed to have you around another year. Your strength, patience, and courage to keep fighting continues to inspire us all. We love you and miss having you around in all our daily activities so much. But we know you're putting in work, and we can't wait to celebrate every milestone in your journey to a full recovery. Love you forever. Tepa, the kids, and all of your extended family and friends.
That's awesome.
That's for Officer Toa Malama Scanlon.
Happy birthday. So I think, did we cover everything?
I think so.
I think we did. Tune in tomorrow to Koviki Talk right here on PBD page and Pacific Islander COVID-19 response team page and APCHO and who else? Picori and Picopsy page. So it's 5:00 tomorrow. Tune in. We have Dr. Pati Young, Dr. Reno Samoa, and the whole Picori and Picopsy team is going to be on. You're not going to see them, but they're going to be on. It starts at 5:00. Please tune in. Follow us on all social media outlets. It's a great series. We have, 50 more to go.
We got a bunch more to go.
A bunch to go.
We'll be there to help level out the
Right.
IQ,
Oh
average
my
IQ in the
God.
room.
The
Nackie
IQ
and I
in
are
the
there
room
to
is,
try
like,
to
crazy.
get it translated into language that everybody can understand.
Yeah,
Got
so-
doctors in the room talking to each other.
The doctors are trying to dummy it down for me.
Right.
So I'm like, what? What did you say? So it's a great program. Koviki Talk tomorrow at 5 p.m. If you haven't filled out your census, what the hell? Also, go register to vote. If you haven't registered, what the hell again? Pacific Islanders were way undercounted in everything. So let's be seen. Let's be counted. I think we're done for today.
We're good.
We're good. Thank you for tuning into the FICA podcast. Catch us tomorrow at 5. Tuesday, we'll have Toke Moana Foods restaurant. So check us out on Tuesday at 5 o'clock. And Monday at 5 o'clock, we will see you Tuesday or tomorrow. Come check in tomorrow. Thanks for tuning in. Thank you, Mena and Malia, for helping this morning.
Two producers.
Our two producers. Have a great week. Come back to FICA with us.
It's a cold world, but I'm gon' shine through. They told me keep my head up, well I've been trying to. They say that I'm gon' do